Hey guys, tonight we are stepping into a distant world where candlelight flickers through the Tudor castle halls, blending with the whispering wind outside the window. And you definitely won't survive this unless you're prepared for the secrets hidden behind those velvet drapes. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. I'd love to know where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you right now, so drop a comment below. Picture this chamber. An ancient library with vaulted stone ceilings, cracks tracing along the walls like whispered confessions. Pale moonlight filters through the window, washing over a wine-coloured Persian rug, highlighting its intricate floral embroidery. Beyond the glass, the trees murmur as they sway, carrying the scent of oak wood and burning candle smoke on the breeze. In the distance, the gentle waves lap against the rocky shore, composing a tranquil symphony that waits for you to surrender to the embrace of night. In this moment, we leave behind all daytime worries. You can almost feel your hands brushing against a heavy Tudor silk gown, damp with morning dew, the tiny ribbons at the back pulsing like the heartbeat of a royal servant. You take a deep breath, inhaling the warmth of wool and the leathery musk of a jewelry basket, eager for you to explore. Every creak of the wooden floorboards marks the arrival of some impending wonder. Now, imagine hearing the distant toll of a castle bell echoing through a pine forest. Its rhythm is steady, resonating through the silent darkness. This is no church bell, but the call for the ladies in waiting to assemble at the Queen's side as night falls. You feel the comforting weight of a sable fur cloak as a servant hands it to you, enough to ward off the chill of marble floors. The final candles gutter low, their golden light dancing on stone walls and ancestral Tudor portraits. Those stern faces seem to watch you with knowing eyes, as if guarding 1,000 untold tales. The wind outside nudges the curtain again, and you whisper, "Are we ready for tonight's secrets?" You grasp the sturdy oak door by its carved handle, feeling its rustic grooves, then push open the threshold of history. A rush of cold mist envelops you, mingling with the scent of far-off seas. These waves don't just shimmer beyond the castle walls, they murmur of hidden currents of power and intrigue beneath the grandeur. If you think you're merely an observer, think again, for in this realm, every detail can shape one's fate. The candlelight wanes, the wind whispers louder, and the full moon hangs like a silent witness to your every gesture. So, before we truly delve deeper, let me know in the comments where you're joining from and what time it is where you are. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You take a deep breath, listening to the wind rustling through the ancient oak boughs outside the stone window. Pause. Your heart beats softly, as if wanting to blend with the conversation of wind and night. Pause. The scene expands before you. A gleaming white stone castle under a silver moon, its ramparts rising amid a misty pine forest, and in the distance, the gentle waves of the sea lapping against the rocky shore. This is Aldwych Castle, where Tudor history and the legend of the White Lotus Queen intertwine. Legend says that long ago, when the wine lineage reigned, the firstborn princess of the realm, Lady Eleanor Tudor, was called the White Lotus Queen because she always wore a crown of white lotus petals. It is said that every dawn, when mist still lingered on the forest lake, she walked along its banks. Moonlight illuminated her footsteps, and the lotus petals trembled as if greeting the sunrise. Pause. In a gossamer silk gown the colour of early morning sky, Eleanor stepped along the pebble path. The wooden clogs beneath her feet echoed clop, clop, like the innocent pulse of a heart unburdened. You also hear your own breath, slow and gentle like a leaf drifting on the pond's surface. Pause. Each breath carries the scent of ancient rose gardens, mingled with the damp musk of moss-covered walls. From the moment you arrived at Aldwych, this place felt otherworldly, where everything moved in harmony with nature. The wind's whisper, the moon's quiet watch, and candlelight's flicker. The hallway wound on in gentle curves. Each low window glowed with candlelight, inviting you to pause and touch memories of old. You feel each pale shaft of light glide over your feet, and for an instant you seem to dissolve into a dreamlike realm. The main character of tonight's tale is you, a young serving maid, newly arrived at Aldwych, chosen to attend the White Lotus Queen. You do not yet need to understand all the palace's intrigues. Just know that your dreams have always returned to that serene gaze and silver hair of the Queen, who seems to hold countless secrets of time. Every time you see her at dawn or dusk, your heart slackens, reminded that you stand at the threshold of two worlds, myth and reality. Pause. A salty breeze from the sea drifts through a crack in the wooden door, carrying the echo of a 1,000-mile ship docking at the harbour. The waves strike the hull lap, lap, like a lullaby for the soul. You close your eyes and listen to every note, feeling more deeply the pulse of life here. Beyond the forest of pines, the air is scented with resin and fresh earth, mingled with lingering rain. Leaves brush together in a murmured conversation, as though ancient spirits beckon you to explore. The darkness is no longer frightening but feels as familiar and warm as an embrace. Pause. You hear your heart beating slower, matching the rhythm of the land. In that gentle space, you step into the Queen's bedchamber for the first time. The ebony door swings open, revealing a room awash in candlelight. Wisps of smoke spiral to the ceiling, creating cloud-like patterns. At the center stands a lofty bed carved with intricate designs, draped in lotus-white silk, symbolizing purity and inner strength. You step softly onto the silk rug, sensing the plushness beneath your feet. Candlelight dances across the Queen's face, enveloping her in an aura both mysterious and tender. Pause. You step closer, hearing your heart ring out thump, thump, as if it wants to unite with hers. Eleanor turns, her eyes reflecting the still lake of midnight, and she offers a dreamlike smile. That smile is a first greeting, as gentle as a lullaby. You bow respectfully, and her voice, soft as a breeze, floats to you. Welcome, new handmaid. The words drift like the evening air. You smile in return, gazing at the candle's flicker. Silence deepens, filled only by 2 measured breaths. Pause. You exhale softly, dispelling every worry. In that fleeting moment, time seems to stand still, leaving only the gentle bond growing between 2 souls. Tonight's story will unfold as a journey of unveiling the White Lotus Queen's mysteries and your own path as her maid, through each ceremony, each step, each glance. But first, let your spirit drift toward the pale moon, toward the sound of lapping waves and whispering pines. Pause. Are you ready to sink deeper into this fairy tale reverie? Your breathing slows to its normal cadence. Your heart rests like a placid lake. Outside, the wind softly brushes the treetops. You close your eyes and melt into the vast embrace of night. The night drifts softly like a velvet shawl covering Aldwych Castle, candlelight flickering in golden hues upon the moss-covered stone walls. Your breath mingles with the castle's heartbeat, slow, deep and soothing. Before you stands the Grand Royal Hall, where a sealed council meeting concluded mere moments ago. Footsteps echo on the cold flagstones, clop, clop, a distant toll marking a silent era of intrigue and emotion. Enchanted light transforms the walls into smoky silver, and the crimson tapestries glow under threads of resplendent gold in the firelight. In one corner, a round table carved with foliage holds the whispers of the White Lotus Queen's Council. Proposals for grain tax reform, plans for a coastal trade route to safeguard merchant ships, and a lesser-known secret, an initiative to plant birch trees along the hidden lake, both to cool the summer air and craft a dreamlike retreat in the royal gardens. It sounds like a leisure scheme, yet it is a clever gambit to draw nobles from every corner, distracting them from the fierce power plays behind crimson curtains. Pause. A breeze slips through the mullioned window, carrying salt from the sea and damp pine from the forest. You inhale deeply, savouring the scent of wild thyme and beeswax. Each breath is a lullaby bullet, rendering worldly schemes distant and making room for a peaceful dream. Only the full moon hangs heavy outside the battlements, casting pale light on the plastered walls in patterns of chiaroscuro, as if the moon itself were sighing. You lift your gaze to those dancing beams, almost hearing its breath. Greatness often begins with a single, humble breath. You listen, drifting like a river at rest. At that moment, The queen appears, her footsteps whispering along the carpet, thump, thump, like a heartbeat resonating through silence. Black Lotus enters without scepter or crown, her white silk cloak embroidered with lotus blossoms marking purity and quiet strength. She seems both present and ethereal in the flickering glow. You step forward slowly, sensing her empathy in those gentle eyes. In a world of ambition, she remains silent, allowing rumors to drift away like leaves on a stream, an irony that never fails to unsettle the overconfident. Oh, you think she holds no power? Think again. Oh. Pause. The breeze stirs again, delivering a hint of peppermint from the small wooden box on the table. You bend to lift it, lifting the lid to reveal a few dried angelica roots, folk wisdom for healing weary spirits. A quiet jest crosses your mind. A tea more effective than any political stratagem I have ever known. The queen accepts the roots, breathes in their fragrance, and smiles warmly. She exhales softly. Sometimes every trouble can be cured with a cup of tea and a moment of stillness. You nod, as though you have just shared a silent accord. No demands, no pageantry, only simple companionship. Pause. A distant bell from the watchtower tolls the third watch, a chime like a horse's carriage wheels through the night, briefly banishing the hush. Each peal feels like a heartbeat of history, urging you onward toward restful slumber. You leave the grand hall, drifting down the corridor lined with sapphire tapestries depicting ancient sagas. Candle chandeliers cast dusky lavender hues, making the passageway feel as dreamy as a fairy tale lane. Outside, the flutter of bats in the eaves mingles with the breeze lifting your cloak, an uncanny sensation of straddling two realms. Beyond the window mullions, the primeval forest stands sentinel, guarding its secrets. You pause, leaning into the lintel, inhaling deeply. Pause. Your breath now moves in step with nature's symphony. Wind, rustling leaves, distant waves, an orchestration of dreams. You murmur to yourself, if modern life could be tended like angelica tea, would worries melt away? A fleeting smile flickers light irony for an impatient age. Then you press on, footsteps soft as if not to disturb midnight's hush. At last, you reach your modest chamber, where a mahogany bed waits with charcoal grey linen and a soft woolen blanket. The final candle on your desk flickers wanly, reflecting in your drowsy eyes. You slip beneath the woolen cloak and feel its fibers cradle you. Pause. Your breath evens out, and your heartbeat settles like a still lake under a starless sky. The pines outside murmur as if in a comforting lullaby, and the distant sea hums softly, a reminder that even in this ancient setting, emotions echo across timeless shores. You close your eyelids and let yourself drift on that gentle breeze, merging with the tranquil night. Here, every sound, every hue, every breath and ray of light weaves into a silent wave of calm. You are ready to surrender to the 1,000-year-old Tudor dream. The night drapes like a silken veil across Aldwych, where a lone candle still burns softly in the grand royal hall. Pause. Footsteps fade to a whisper clop. Clop, against the cold marble floor, echoing the gentle wave of an event that just passed. Pause. You feel your breath slow, melding with the hall's hushed heartbeat. Moonlight spills through the wrought-iron window, painting ghostly curves on the plastered walls. The amber-hued tapestry lies quietly, its fibers worn by countless noble feet of yesteryear. At the room's centre, a long mahogany table carved with exquisite floral motifs still bears scattered parchments. The royal decrees passed earlier that afternoon, now scented only with dried ink and cedarwood. For the first time since your arrival, you witness the quiet ripple of a significant decision. The enactment of the Coastal Fishermen's Protection Act, meant to link Aldwich's trade vessels with distant harbours. Some jest that it resembles medieval maritime insurance, oddly akin to today's cyber insurance. Nice to have, but ignored until something goes awry. Pause. A sea breeze drifts indoors, carrying brine and mist that clings like notes on your lips. Then faint whiffs of dried meadow grass beyond the walls. Each inhalation weaves an invisible net between you and this enchanted setting. Days ago, the council had convened in secret to prepare for a signing ceremony at the quay. Daylight had streamed through the skylight, illuminating cracks in the stone in chiaroscuro patterns akin to an aged oil painting. Now only whispers remain. We must secure provisions for the winter fishermen. Don't forget incentives for new merchants. These hushed proposals, you realize, weigh as heavily as steel hulls braving the waves. Pause. You close your eyes to the sound of your heartbeat thump, thump, synchronizing with history's pulse. Strolling down the corridor draped in deep russet cloth, you notice faint crimson stains on the floor, perhaps from a courtier's spilled ink, as secret love letters were drafted amidst stacks of official documents. A gentle smirk crosses your face. Even amid clauses and articles, human hearts still scribble their own stories. Pause. The oil lamp light pools in amber puddles on the arched ceiling, warming the walls like honey. You lean forward to touch a sculpted relief depicting fishermen at the bay, nets cast wide for silver shoals. In that moment you think of modern networks streaming data like fish in a school-one breach, and the catch slips away. A private chuckle escapes you, but you quietly continue admiring the artistry. Beyond that tableau, moonlight glares on the original parchment of the decree, tracing its silver edges. The document affirms the Crown's exclusive rights over local fisheries, an entry in the annals that few recall. You read it with your eyes rather than your mind. Pause. Your breath lightens, drifting like a log on a calm river. In another corner, a table piled with sketches of birch saplings awaits the next stage of the lakeside reforestation project. The pale green shoots emerge in ink dyes from fresh leaves. You imagine morning dew shimmering on those birch buds like digital filters in a modern photo app. Pause. A distant chime from the clock tower marks the late watch, its slow rings like carriage wheels rolling through the silence, reminding you that time flows on. You step out onto a narrow balcony, where a smooth stone balustrade presses coolly against your palm. Far below, the sea mists swirl beneath the moon in silver curtains. Waves murmur against the ramparts' patter, patter, their rhythm matching your own breath. Leaning on the rail, you feel the moisture on your skin, as though it writes secret messages across your senses. Moonbeams spiral on the water's surface, reminding you of the notorious smuggler who once pilfered prized herring at night, only to have them seized under new protection rules. A faint irony flickers an ancient scandal not so different from today's clickbait headlines. Pause. The offshore breeze lifts your cloak, a sudden caress from an old friend. Your heart settles, realizing every grand decree and petty theft alike are but dewdrops on the canopy of time, each refracting a fraction of wonder. You descend the spiral staircase into your private chamber, lanterns scattering pools of light that dance on leaf-patterned walls like a miniature enchanted garden. Your footsteps clop, clop, resonator softly, unhurried. Each step is a low musical note luring you toward deeper sleep. Back in your room, you approach a small stone table bearing a bouquet of faded garden lavender and golden rose petals. The fragrance drifts, dispelling fatigue. You reach for a cup of ginger tea, now lukewarm, steam rising in languid spirals. Pause. You sip, feeling a gentle heat soothe your throat, an unexpected balm for the soul. You settle onto an oak bed, woolen blankets enveloping you. The final candle flickers at the window's edge, its flame dancing like the opening measures of the night's first waltz. You close your eyes and hear the distant hum of a wind harp in the corridor, a lullaby like feathers drifting to the floor. And you understand, whether it is a fisherman's protection act or a smuggler's misguided catch, each subtle wave rocks you toward the eternal tide of slumber. Your breath softens into night's quiet, your heart drifts as calmly as a moonlit lake. Night drifts like a slender velvet through Aldwych Castle, where lanterns still glow softly in the royal great hall. Pause. Footsteps ebb to a distant echo clop, clop, across the cold marble, signaling the ripple of a ceremony newly concluded. Pause. You feel your breath deepen, blending with the hushed heartbeat of this ancient place. Moonlight glides through the iron-latticed window, tracing gentle curves on plaster walls like strokes of ink. The amber-hued tapestry lies undisturbed, its fibers bearing the footprints of nobles from ages past. At center stage of the hall, A long mahogany table remains draped with parchments, records of decrees ratified earlier in the day, now redolent of dried ink and cedar. For the first time since your arrival, you witness the quiet wave of a significant act. The Crown's decree, establishing the Coastal Fishermen's Charter, designed to bind Aldwich's fishing communities with distant ports. Some wryly compare it to medieval maritime insurance, eerily reminiscent of today's digital health policies ready for emergencies, seldom noticed until crisis strikes. Pause. A seaside breeze drifts in, carrying a briny tang and fine mist dancing on your lips, then notes of pine resin from the forest beyond the walls. Each inhalation weaves an unseen tether between your breath and this mystical tableau. Just days earlier, the council had convened in secret to prepare for the dawn launch at the harbour. Daylight filtered through a skylight, illuminating cracks in the stone floor that resembled an antique oil painting. Now only murmurs linger. We must ensure winter stocks for the netsmen. Offer incentives for emerging traders. These gentle proposals, you realise, bear the heft of steel trawlers on the open sea. Pause. You close your eyes to the sound of your heart thump, thump, synchronized with history's pulse. Strolling the corridor draped in russet cloth, you notice a smear of crimson ink on the floor, perhaps from a courtier's draft of a hidden love letter among stacks of official subscriptions. You can't help but smile at the irony. Human hearts still scribble secret verses amid articles and statutes. Pause. Oil lamps cast pools of honeyed light on the arched ceiling, warming the walls. You lean forward to touch a carved relief depicting bay fishermen at dawn, nets cast to gather shoals. In that moment, you remember modern networks streaming data like schools of fish, one breach, and the system empties. A private chuckle escapes you before you return to admiring the artistry. Beyond that scene, moonlight strikes the original charter parchment, glinting on its silver border. The text affirms the Crown's exclusive stewardship of local fisheries, an entry in the annals few recall. You read it with your soul rather than your mind. Pause. Your breath lightens, drifting like driftwood on a still sea. In another corner, an easel supports sketches of birch saplings destined for lakeside planting. The tender green buds were drawn with leaf-based ink. You imagine each bud, framed by morning dew, sparkling like digital filters on contemporary photographs. Pause. A distant bell tolls the late watch, its slow chimes like carriage wheels rolling through nighttime streets, reminding you time never stops. You step onto a narrow balcony where a limestone balustrade presses coolly against your palm. Below, ocean mist forms silver curtains beneath the moon. Waves murmur against ramparts, patter, patter, their gentle rhythm matching your breath. Leaning on the rail, you feel each moisture-laden molecule on your skin, as though your body itself absorbs the stories of sea and sky. Moonbeams spiral on the water, evoking tales of an illicit herring smuggler once confiscated under the new protection law. A soft irony flickers in your mind, an ancient scandal not unlike today's sensational headlines. Pause. The offshore breeze lifts your cloak, a sudden caress from an unseen friend. Your heart stills, and you realize that every grand decree and clandestine theft alike are but dewdrops on time's canopy, each reflecting a shard of wonder. You descend the spiral staircase to your private chamber, lanterns dotting each step and painting leaf-patterned walls in wandering light, as if guiding you through an enchanted garden. Your footsteps clop, clop, sound unhurried, each footfall a mellow tone coaxing you into deeper rest. Inside your room, you find a small table bearing a bouquet of lavender sprigs and golden rose petals. Their fragrance unfurls across the air, dispelling fatigue. You reach for a cup of ginger tea, steam curling in lazy wisps. Pause. You sip, feeling warmth unfurl in your chest, an unexpected tonic for the spirit. You settle onto an oak-framed bed, woolen blankets wrapping you in gentle embrace. The last candle flickers at the window's edge, its flame pirouetting like the opening notes of a nocturne. You close your eyes and hear the distant hum of a wind harp in the corridor, a lullaby of falling feathers, and you understand. Whether it is the fisherman's charter or a smuggler's misadventure, each delicate wave lulls you toward the endless tide of sleep. Your breath softens into the night, your heart drifts as serenely as a moonlit lake. Late afternoon sunlight filtered through the arched windows of the great royal hall, painting the stone walls with gentle amber hues like a soft blush across Aldwich's ancient visage. Pause. Footsteps faded into distant taps clop, clop, across the mahogany floors, mingling with the curious summer breeze that rattled wind chimes at the window, as though announcing a ceremony about to unfold. This evening, the Tudor court hosted its annual Snowfall Feast, a midwinter solstice celebration seldom recorded in official annals, intended to strengthen the realm's spirit on the longest night of the year. You feel your breath slow, deep and steady, as if pausing to absorb the magical moment when twilight yields to night. Pause. Before you lies a long table draped in pristine white linens, edged with carved foliage motifs, set with crystal goblets and silver platters reflecting candlelight like restless stars. The air carries the rich aroma of spiced roast, cinnamon, cloves, freshly ground black pepper, mingled with warm mead infused with red berries. Every sense awakens, yet is gently lulled by the feast's unhurried rhythm. Pause. A distant harpsichord note drifts through a side corridor, soft and meandering like a gondola gliding over icy canals. You gaze upward at frescoes on the vaulted ceiling depicting snowy woodland scenes in pastel blues and silvers. Flickering candles cast shifting shadows, reminding you of the modern dark mode on screens, cozy in its repose, yet strangely contemporary. At the hall's centre, the White Lotus Queen emerges, cloak of ivory mink brushing the floor, collar trimmed in silver that gleams like frost on birch limbs. Pause. You sense her breath, gentle, measured as though she were a winter gust passing through a grove of white birches. Her silver hair cascades around her shoulders, catching the firelight in ephemeral halos. The ceremony begins with the presentation of the snow wreath. Each noble family receives a small wreath, crafted from fresh birch twigs, placed tenderly into their hands by the Queen herself. The wreath is not mere ornamentation, but a testament to resilience. Birch wood is pliant yet strong, unbroken by ice storms. You can't help but think with mild amusement, probably better at preventing colds than any modern wellness tip. Okay, you observe each exchange. The twigs tremble under candlelight, their tiny leaves glistening. Pause. The scent of green wood blends with cedar notes, transporting you to a hidden winter garden rather than a heated banquet chamber. Murmured congratulations drift through the room, New Year blessings, fragments of late winter poetry, muted awe at the Queen's gesture. Next comes the lighting of the 4 torches. The Queen kindles 4 braziers symbolizing the seasons, then passes flame to the High Council. Flickering embers chase away the dimness, mirroring the LED glow of conference room lights in today's virtual gatherings, warm yet intangible. A reminder that no technology can quite match the primal comfort of real fire. Pause. You inhale deeply, tasting beeswax and pine smoke, as the flames crackle softly tick, crackle, creating a gentle warmth that seeps into your bones. In that moment, you understand that regardless of technological advances, humanity still craves a single spark of hope in the darkest hour. The snow-infused tea ritual follows. A side door opens, and a rush of cold air carries first snowflakes into the hall. Beyond the doors, pine trees stand cloaked in white. You imagine today's social media feeds alive with first snow posts, filter-laced and eager for likes. You catch a floating flake on your tongue, its chill melting into a crisp sweetness akin to winter-infused spring water. You approach the tea station, where silver teapots cradle steaming brews. Snowflakes drift in, swirling into your cup and dissolving, adding a delicate chill. One sip yields a bracing warmth reminiscent of a detox tonic, an incongruous yet delightful modern echo. Pause. The hush of wind through the hall reminds you of white noise apps used to lull restless minds, while the hot tea becomes a sublime catalyst for restful dreams. The feast concludes with the release of the snow messengers. Small, hollowed pine cones set afloat on the frozen lake beyond candlelit windows. You hear the pine cones whisper across the ice rustle, like nature's lullaby for seekers of solace. Each cone bears a silent wish, drifting under silver moonbeams, conjuring images of modern digital tokens, carrying hopes across online communities. Pause. You watch the final cone cradle your whispered wish, slipping from sight into soft darkness. A droplet of ice kisses the surface plink, then stillness. You inhale slowly, your heart matching the lake's gentle ripples. Pause. Candlelight in the hall dims, leaving only moonlight to sculpt silent reflections on stone floors. As night deepens into silvery quiet, you depart the banquet hall. The corridor's smoky grey draperies and large silver mirrors flicker with faint candlelight, guiding your steps between past and present from medieval hearths to digital screens. Pause. You glance at the memory of Zoom calls, stark blue light on waiting faces, and cannot help but tuck a private smile for the warmth of ancient flame. Back in your snug chamber, velvet drapes of deep violet fall softly around a welcoming bed. You reach for a plate of spiced gingerbread and a final cup of tea, steam curling like ghostly tendrils. Pause. You sip slowly, letting the warmth seep through every fibre of your being. You lie on your side, hugging an embroidered lotus petal cushion. The last candle flickers, then extinguishes, surrendering to the moon's pale glow through the window. Your breathing evens, your heartbeat grows still like a frozen lake awaiting dawn. Pause. The room overflows with echoes of ceremony, wreaths of resilience, torches of promise, tea kissed by snow, and whispered wishes on drifting cones. All converge into a gentle lullaby. Rest now, for the dawn of hope resides in your heart. Moonlight dripped silently across the water of the castle moat, causing the floating lanterns to flicker like lost stars in the night sky. Pause. A gentle breeze stirred the surface lilt, lilt, echoing the soft breath of some ancient creature resting below. Tonight, the Tudor court held its rarely mentioned lantern release ceremony around the moat, a ritual both solemn and hopeful, honouring the fallen and casting wishes for abundant harvests. Each lantern, crafted of fragile silk and bamboo ribs, drifted upon the water with a slender reed frame as a keepsake. Candlelight within shimmered like sparks from a dying fire before drifting downward. Warm amber hues spread across the cool water's mirror, painting an asymmetrical tapestry that mesmerized without glare. Pause. You inhaled deeply, savouring the scent of beeswax mingled with baked bamboo from nearby pyres of ceremonial incense, an echo of modern festivals where drone-lit LEDs drift skyward. A wry thought crossed your mind. Perhaps our tech festivals could learn to cherish slowness rather than pollute the skies. You smiled, turning to watch the 100 tiny lights glide away. Murmured blessings from gathered nobles drifted across the bank, prayers for crops, peace and unity woven into your breath in a hushed chorus only the keenest listener could catch. You closed your eyes, letting this silent symphony carry you on a gentle current. Along the mossy wall, shadows danced as lavender wools etched their silhouettes. Footsteps clop, clop, marched in rhythm with water's lap, making you feel as though you tread upon a moonlit dream. Pause. Suddenly, the White Lotus Queen emerged on a wooden bridge above the moat. She wore a pale blue silk gown, its silver embroidery gleaming like frost on birchwood. Pause. Her breath was a breeze rustling through aspens, and her silver hair caught the lantern glow in soft aureole. She lifted the first lantern, pressing her slender fingers to its bamboo frame, then released it onto the water. The light bobbed for a heartbeat before melting into the current, as though guided by time itself. Nearby, the crackle of spiced tea drifted up from a small hearth, a tangle of clove, smoke, and honeyed steam that warmed the chill air. You thought of ASMR videos and how, sometimes, nature's sounds suffice without microphones. Pause. A travelling minstrel's lute began its low, liquid melody, weaving through the reeds like a gentle brook. Flute notes followed, cooing like night owls calling you deeper still. Every plucked string sank into you as a raindrop lands on parched earth, promising new life. Your heartbeat slowed, thump, thump, in time with lantern glow and lapping shores. Every scheme, every bustle outside these walls receded, leaving only reflective water and pointed glimmers of hope. Pause. An elder statesman approached, offering you a pouch of newly harvested grain. Scatter these seeds upon the water, he whispered. Let the lanterns guide their path. You took the pearl, like kernels, releasing a few onto the surface. They vanished, sinking into silent depths, each a secret promise. You thought of modern reforestation via drone, how we fling seeds from above with high-tech precision. A half-smile surfaced. At least Tudor seeds needed no software update. You chuckled softly, then resumed watching. Pause. The court erupted in quiet applause as the king pronounced his thanks. Outside, dark clouds drifted before the moon, turning the sky silvery grey. The final lantern flickered and died, leaving only star reflections to mirror distant fires. You drew in a long, slow breath, the warmth of spiced tea echoing on your tongue. The castle's pale lanterns blurred in your vision, casting a golden halo that seemed to whisper, "Rituals end, but hearts remain warm." Pause. You left the moat side, crossing the wooden bridge clop, floated by twilight's hush as you returned to your chamber. A strip of silk had brushed against the railing, a farewell ribbon. You caught a corner, noted the bamboo scent, then let it float free. Closing the heavy oaken door behind you, you shut out lantern glow and whispered blessings. Inside, your small room glowed by the dim candlelight. A mahogany desk, a velvet-covered chair, and a bed dressed in ivory linens. Pause. You lit a lone candle on the nightstand, inhaled the lavender's gentle perfume from its porcelain vase, then lay down, your head resting on a lotus-embroidered pillow. The final candle guttered and faded, replaced by moonbeams flowing through the window. Your breathing evened to the rhythm of water against stone, lilt, as the ceremony's memory wove into your dreams. And thus you drift, upon the black sea of remembrance and the soft glow of hope, as the lanterns teach you this tender lesson, that peace arranges itself in stillness, in quiet release, and in the gentle promise of dawn. Morning mist drifted silently over the castle moat, turning the birch grove into shadowy silhouettes in a dreamscape. Pause. Birds greeted the day with scattered calls through the forest, mingling with the faint chime of the chapel bell, echoing through stillness. Today, the Tudor court hosted its spring archery tournament, a formal event established since King Henry II's reign to hone martial skill and uphold the ancient bow tradition. The wooden gates creaked open, revealing a sprawling meadow of dewy grass dotted with yellow and purple wildflowers. Pause. Oak viewing stands ringed the field where nobles and merchants took seats on cushioned benches, clad in velvet and sipping sparkling mead. Early sunlight gleamed on a clear sky, casting shadows from fluttering banners above. In the center lay a long, rectangular range marked by taut ropes, where archers would draw bow. Wisps of grass dust rose as contestants approached like gentle wisps of mist. You drew a deep breath, tasting wet turf and the rich tang of leather quivers mingled with freshly baked bread from a roaming vendor. Each inhale blended senses into a meditative calm. Pause. A slow drum roll thrum, announced the start. A leather-armored archer stepped up, hefting a yew bow with supple grace. He knocked an arrow, each string stretched like the opening note of a classical concerto. Then he released "Wish." The arrow struck a wooden target with a solid thunk. Pause. Polite applause arose like ripples on a pond. You saw in the spectators' eyes not triumph, but the shared delight of meeting tension and release the primal harmony of bow and arrow. Competitors rotated in, each stance unique, each breath their own. A young woman in a pale green gown drew her bow with steady poise. Her arrow's flight was a whisper of wind through trees. A wry thought flickered. No need for missile tracking systems when eyes and hands are true. Oh, pause. In a corner, musicians played soft strains on violin and rustic flute, weaving a lullaby of elegance that outdid any contemporary sports broadcast. No pop-up ads, no intrusive commentary, just pure melody. Time seemed to slow as awards approached. A crimson-draped table held carved wooden chests containing bronze, silver, and gold medals, stamped with the sun-pierced sunflower symbols of focus and hope. Pause. You watched the White Lotus Queen stride forward to present the gold medal. Her pale morning gown caught sunlight like dew on petals. Courtiers murmured admiration for her grace and the champion's skill, each word a gentle link to centuries of history. After ceremonies, guests moved to an outdoor tea reception. Oak tables draped in linen displayed spiced ginger biscuits, oatcakes, and wildflower tea. The cinnamon scent hung softly in air, warming cold fingers. Pause. The gentle clink of porcelain echoed calm as sips were shared. You lifted a cup of honeysuckle-infused brew, its sweetness drifting across your senses. The warmth was reminiscent of a cafe's seasonal latte, comfort in every sip. Pause. Low chatter drifted around you, tales of tidal measurements at Dover coast using wooden buoys from the 15th century. A folk science innovation surprisingly accurate. You mused. Even Tudors had citizen scientists. Dusk painted the sky pastel pink and smoky grey. You strolled along the moat, lined with those historical floats. The gentle plop of floats against ice brought memories of an old shoreline. Pause. You inhaled pine-scented chill, each breath a gem rolling into memory. Instead of radar, Tudor folk learned by feel, by sight, by listening to water's simplest senses guiding survival. Night deepened, and lanterns by the stands flickered on. Light dappled through birch limbs, making arcane patterns like runes of Gaia. You stepped back, inhaled the last festival air, then turned toward the forest path. Pause. Your footsteps clop, followed the hallway's smoky grey carpet. Oil lamps cast honeyed pools on gilded walls. With each step, you felt the centuries fold behind you like an ancient tome closing. At last, you returned to your simple chamber, where a single candle glowed by the window. You set down your empty cup and heard its soft wooden lid click in place. You lay beneath a sand-coloured wool blanket, breath steady, heart calm. Pause. Eyelids fluttered closed as you carried the melodic murmur of birds, drums, arrows, floats, and gentle waves into sleep. In that final quiet breath, you felt the timeless bond of bow and heart guiding you into dreams of tranquil dawn. The last light of sunset filtered through the oak boughs, bathing the Tudor courtyard in a pale amber hue. Pause. The distant rustle of pines drifted across the field, matching the slow, deliberate rhythm of your breath as the court prepared its falconry demonstration, a seldom mentioned but crucial. Right training nobles, ladies and courtiers in the art of aerial hawk hunting. The demonstration ground lay atop a gentle lawn carpeted in emerald grass and dotted with small white and pastel pink wildflowers. Pause. Rough-hewn oak stands formed a spectator ring, each seat cushioned with velvet pillows. Crystal lanterns on the stands cast warm pools of light upon dark walnut posts, crafting an interplay of shadow and glow. You drew a deep breath, tasting resinous pine, worn leather from hawk jesses, and the faint aroma of freshly baked bread from a roving vendor. Each inhalation wove a tranquil calm through your senses. Pause. A falconer in soft brown leather stepped forward holding a hawk with broad, russet wings. The bird's wing beats rustle, echoed like gentle silk brushing silk. Pause. In that moment, you imagined modern, droned wildlife footage, but knew no mechanical hum could rival the living grace of a real hawk's wings. The first hawk launched from gloved hand, circling low and wide, its plumage catching the dying light in tawny and smoky grey highlights and living tapestry against the twilight sky. A playful thought crossed your mind. Why roster drones when you can train a hawk? Pause. A distant bugle toot signaled the scent challenge. Hawks would track a hidden leather lure infused with rabbit fur. Court whispers revealed that Tudor falconers once used tobacco scents from the New World to teach hawks to distinguish wild quarry from their trained craft. You inhaled deliberately, merging your breath with the hawk's silent glide. When the hawk swooped and retrieved the lure, it landed with statuesque calm, stirring only a soft clap of its talons upon the glove. Enthusiastic yet polite applause rippled from the stands like a mellow wave. You savoured the purity of that moment, no loudspeaker needed, just primal bond between human and raptor. Pause. Next came the moonlit flight, as lanterns were lit and hung within the arena. Paper lanterns flickered against a deepening indigo sky, creating a twilit realm. The hawks, now launched again, cut through pools of golden light, then vanished into shadows. Their wing beats flutter, flutter, blended with the hush of distant forest. A chamber ensemble began a hushed, lute melody, the gentle notes winding through the crisp air like wild vines. Each note felt like a droplet in an endless stream, guiding your thoughts to a restful calm far beyond mechanical cadence. Pause. The finale was the memorial plaques, small wooden tablets engraved with each hawk's name and the demonstration date. The plaques hung in neat rows on the castle wall beneath lantern glow. The top plaque read Golden Ember, its varnished surface gleaming like a digital achievement badge, but forged in solid oak and tradition. As spectators filtered away, you strolled along a carpet of dry pine needles. The crackle underfoot crunch, crunch, felt like turning the pages of a living history book. Returning to your chamber, you set the heavy oak door gently ajar, leaving the demonstration's echoes behind. Silver moonlight sifted in through the window, illuminating a single wooden mortar carved with hawk feathers. You touched its cool surface, then let a few small down feathers drift to your palm, soft as silk, cool as polished glass. You lay beneath a woolen blanket dyed in misty greys. Your breaths paced evenly, heart quiet as a windless lake. Pause. Every vision of hawk flight, lantern glow, pine whisper, and lute song wove into your dreams, bridging the timeless past and the present in a hush of perfect peace. A final sliver of moonlight streamed through the oak canopy, casting pale jade hues across the dew-kissed grass. Pause. The distant murmur of a brook wove through the Tudor garden, melding with the deliberate pace of your breath as the court prepared for the night lantern blessing ceremony, a seldom recorded rite honouring St. John's Day and celebrating sacred light. The far garden, paved in cobblestones, stretched along a trickling stream. Pause. White daisies and pink wild roses lined the banks, while wooden poles carved in leaf motifs stood planted in clusters, each topped with a glass lantern holding a single candle. A breeze set the lanterns trembling, their golden flames flickering like trapped fireflies. You inhaled deeply, tasting pine resin blended with beeswax smoke and the faint sweetness of early bloom. A lady-in-waiting in pale sable fur stepped forward, releasing her hawk into the night sky. Wing beats beat, rippled across the clearing. Pause. The bird soared, talons gleaming, then glided back to her gloved fist. You detected her quiet focus, akin to donning noise-cancelling headphones to center one's mind. The second hawk, broader-winged, launched in slow arc's grace incarnate its plumage reflecting auburn and smoke shades like a drone's LED patterns across a storm cloud. A playful thought flickered. Why pilot drones when a hawk does so with unmatched elegance? Pause. A tin whistle blast signaled scent challenge. Birds hunted leather lures, scented with rabbit fur and tobacco, an obscure Tudor method to teach hawks to distinguish wild quarry. You breathed alongside the hawks, merging your cadence with theirs. When a falcon descended with its prize, applause spread like soft ripples. Pause. In that hush, you realized no mechanical drone could rival this ancient partnership of human and bird. Next came moonlit flight, as paper lanterns were lit on wooden stakes. The charcoal sky deepened, speckled with wavering golden lights. Wing beats thump, thump, echoed amid the hush, reminiscent of modern night recon drones, precise yet devoid of life. A small ensemble drifted into repertoire, lute's low drone and flute's call coalescing into a lullaby for the skies, each note a droplet into a silent stream, drawing your spirit into quiet repose. Pause. The finale, booking falcon names, saw engraved oak tablets hung beneath the lantern glow. The top plaque read Golden Ember, its polished wood shining like a digital badge, but far more enduring. With footsteps crunch, crunch, you traced a path through pine needle carpets, the sound like worlds turning, history folding upon itself. Into your chamber, you carried the echoes of wing beats, lantern flicker, and forest murmur. Moonlight illumined a small wooden jar of sugar-coated hazelnuts, tokens of light. You touched its cool wood, then cradled a few nuts that melted sweet on your tongue, promise and peace. You nestled beneath a mist-grey wool blanket, breath slowing to a river's flow. Pause. The cathedral of night awaited your dreams, each sigh a chorus of past and present entwined, a final sliver of dawn light draped across the oak canopy, bathing the courtyard in honeyed hues. Pause. The distant susurrus of the pine grove blended with your slow, deliberate breath as the Tudor court prepared for its spring jousting tournament, a rite established by King Henry IV to hone horsemanship and spearcraft. The tilt yard lay on dewy grass, bisected by a sturdy wooden barrier. Pause. Oak stands lined the field, each cushioned in velvet, where nobles and merchants reclined, sipping sparkling mead. Early sunlight gleamed off polished armor, producing reflections like vintage chrome. You inhaled deeply, moist turf, leather from ornate saddles, and the lingering scent of fresh bread from a peddler's stall. Pause. A trumpet call, toot, toot, signaled the match's start. A knight clad in leather and steel advanced with lance poised. His horse's hooves thud, thud, matched the drum's heartbeat. At the barrier's line, 2 riders charged, lances crossing clang, the shock echoing in the hush. Your pulse quickened thump, thump. Yet your breath remained measured, relishing the ancient thrill akin to modern virtual sports. Each clash felt like a silent crescendo, tension woven with skill and honor. Pause. After several passes, one knight unseated his rival in graceful defeat. Polite applause rippled from the stands, a communal sigh of admiration for martial artistry. You savored that moment pure, unamplified by loudspeakers or screens. Next came the spearman's prize, lavishly displayed on a crimson-draped table, gleaming quincesilver trophies and oak plaques. Pause. The queen presented the first prize, her gown's green silk catching the dawn light. Courtiers whispered praise for the victor's prowess, a phrase repeated through centuries of chivalric tradition. A stroll to the pavilion yielded spiced gingerbread biscuits and almond cakes, accompanied by mint-infused tea. The scent of cinnamon and nuts warmed your senses, reminiscent of artisanal pastries in a modern cafe. Pause. You sipped, letting the warmth settle like a gentle fire. Nearby, a courtier revealed an obscure fact. After bouts, knights once engaged in saddle tug, a test of strength atop their horses. You smiled at the contrast with today's strength training gyms. Guess no Fitbits back then, you thought, grinning. Pause. The sun climbed higher, turning the joust into an elegant dawn spectacle. You wandered the moat bank, observing driftwood remnants that felt like medieval shipping debris, reminders that even Tudor supply ships once docked with similar creaks and splashes. Breathing in salty breeze and sawdust aromas, you felt entwined in both past and present archaic ritual and contemporary echoes. Pause. As the final knights saluted, the gates closed behind departing guests. Creak, clack, sealing a chapter of living history. Returning to your chamber, you rested your hand on a carved wooden quillen from a champion's lance, a tactile link to that honor. Cool and smooth, it felt like touching a smooth slab of tempered steel. Pause. Nestled under wool blankets dyed in dawn's grey, your breath slowed to a tranquil pace. Images of tilting lances, sunlit armor, and the hush of oak stands faded into dreams. A soothing wave bridging medieval splendor and modern serenity. Dawn's first light filtered through the castle arches, casting the courtyard in honeyed brightness. Pause. The distant murmur of pine needles falling blended with your slow, steady breath as the Tudor court unveiled its grand floral tapestry display, a rarely documented ceremony celebrating the royal patronage of woven art. The great lawn behind the North Tower was lined with white marble pillars wrapped in glossy holly vines. Pause. On black oak benches, crystal goblets held fresh blooms, their fragrant petals inviting every sense to awaken. At center stage lay the tapestry, perched on a polished dais. Its ivory linen base was embroidered with roses, lilies, and daisies in vibrant silk threads. Pause. Morning sunlight streamed through colored glass, painting sections of the tapestry in soft purples and golds, reminiscent of vintage kaleidoscopes and today's LED light shows. A harp's gentle melody began telltale strings plucked in featherlight rhythm. Your pulse thump, thump, matched the tune, drawing you into the living concert of needle and fabric. Nearby, velvet-clad nobility watched with lantern glow reflecting in jeweled embroidery. Pause. The White Lotus Queen appeared, her emerald silk cloak glinting in the sunday. She held a silver tray of golden needles and silk spools. "We honor the threads of past and future," she intoned, her voice like a wind across mountain crags. Court rumors shared that the tapestry took 8 years to complete by 50 nuns from northern France, who used oak-derived glue to secure silk fibers and early archival fixative. You smiled to yourself. No plastic adhesives in Tudor times. Oh, pause. Candlelight caught on glass lanterns as the Queen and court heralds drew back the veils at either side of the dais, revealing the tapestry in full bloom under the smoke of incense. You inhaled, feeling the warm aroma of sandalwood swirl with rose petals, immersing you in timeless artistry. Quiet applause rose like ripples on a still pond. You recalled modern gallery openings marked by polite clapping and selfie flashes. A small laugh whispered within. "I bet number royal tapestry would trend on Instagram for a day." Pause. Next came the embroiderer's return. As the Dowager Queen added final flourishes with a slender silk needle, she commented softly, "Maintain steady breath, primitive needle yoga." You noticed your own breathing slow, harmonizing with hers. A string ensemble tuned violins and violas, each note drifting like falling dewdrops. The effect reminded you of a curated meditation playlist, no subscription required. Pause. After completion, viewers were invited to sign an oak plinth engraved alongside the tapestry in indigo ink. The soft swish of quill on wood felt like the final ledger entries of an ancient ledger. Each signature marked a living record. Pause. The Queen placed her golden seal in the corner, closing the ceremony. Courtiers moved toward an outdoor tea reception under lilac boughs. Tables covered in linen offered rose-infused tea and almond pastries, a sensory echo of chic cafe fare but infinitely more quaint. Pause. You sipped a cup of wildflower infusion, its petals softening the edges of reality. Conversations drifted to preservation techniques, carbon black ink used on vellum instructions, capable of lasting centuries. You mused. Today's museums rely on digital databases, yet ancient scribes used charcoal. As the sun climbed, you noticed dew-laden ferns shimmering in the undergrowth. A chorus of frogs claimed a nearby pond ribbit. Ribbit, a natural counterpoint to silk and steel. Pause. With tapestry and tea ceremony complete, you strolled along stone paths past mossy arches. Footsteps clack, clack, echoed in the hush of dawn. Back in your chamber, you lit the final candle, its flicker reflecting on the oak chest that held a small tapestry fragment. Cool to the touch, it felt like aged marble. Pause. Nestled beneath a cashmere blanket dyed in dove grey, your breath slowed to a lullaby pace. Every colour, sound, stitch and breath from the tapestry ceremony drifted softly into your dreams, weaving a tapestry of restful peace bridging past and present. The slimmest sliver of moon peeks over the horizon, gently parting the white cloud veil to illuminate the lake's mirrored surface. The night wind releases golden maple leaves that flutter onto the forest path, creating a soft rustle like a lullaby woven by nature. On your windowsill, the final candle flickers, beads of beeswax sliding slowly down its glass vessel, reminding you that every moment drifts by in serene grace. You lie on your oak bed, wrapped in a woolen quilt as warm as an embrace from a loved one. Your breathing is even, quietly in sync with the rhythm of the deep night. The wooden door clicks softly closed behind you, leaving distant corridors bathed in muted lantern light. Each footstep, each steady heartbeat, carries the warmth of the past and the tranquility of the present. Far off, a river murmurs beneath the moonlight, ripples of silver dancing across the water like fond memories. The water laps the shore lap, blending with the whisper of leaves stirred by the breeze. Rustle, rustle, orchestrating the nocturne of this peaceful hour. You can feel each salty breath of the river, mingled with the scent of wild grasses, as if nature itself croons a tender lullaby. In this hush, you recall the journey you've shared. Vibrant festivals illuminated by candlelight, the harp's gentle song, falcons soaring on silent wings, the thunder of hooves, and the tapestry of flowers painstakingly embroidered. These fleeting wonders flutter through your mind, settling into a soothing calm. You close your eyes and let the image of Aldwich's still waters rise within you, leaning trees reflecting like guardians, white stone pillars standing steadfast, lanterns drifting in gentle arcs, and all the delicate hues of violet, gold, and silver painting the night. These impressions etch themselves into your soul, not as burdens but as a tender embrace. Your breathing slows, like the current carrying those last droplets of melting beeswax back to their source. Your heart quiets, reminiscent of the final moments of the night lantern blessing when light and darkness converge. A gentle warmth spreads from your core to your fingertips, filling you with a profound sense of security. In the liminal space between dream and waking, you hear the final song of the breeze. Let your spirit melt into peaceful surrender, so that dreams may carry hope into tomorrow. Nature's whispered words become your comforting benediction, guiding you into a realm of gentle dreams. May you rest in sweetest slumber beneath the silent moon, cradled by the soft breath of night and the river's lullaby. Sleep well, so that tomorrow's dawn greets you with renewed hope, as delicate as the morning dew upon each leaf.